So 1 Million Cups, the official purpose of 1 Million Cups, it's an initiative from the Kauffman Foundation, and there are chapters all around the country, and the purpose of it is to provide a platform for entrepreneurs, for business startups, for business people to present their business and to get good at it. So we've got a good, kind of safe environment to practice those presentations. And then it's also to the unofficial purposes to network, to help connect the dots between business owners and the needs that they have. And that's what we endeavor to do. And by doing so, we lift up the entrepreneurial community in Missoula. So thank you for being here to be a part of that. So we have two presenters this morning. The first one I'm going to go ahead and introduce, and we're going to get started, number one. And this is SuzAnne Miller from Dunrovin Ranch, also known as Lady Dunrovin.
Oh, thank
you. I want to introduce her.
Thank you.
Dunrovin Ranch is educational guest and cyber ranch in the Bitterroot Valley. It's just outside of Lolo, is that right?
That's correct.
Great. So I'm just going to step aside and let you take over.
Thank you very much. My name is SuzAnne Miller. I'm a fourth generation Montanan. I will celebrate my 68th birthday in about 2 months. I call myself an accidental entrepreneur because I didn't really seek to build a business at this late stage of my life. Rather, it sought me. Let me explain. My husband and I have long careers in wildlife research. And when I started our guest ranch, Dunrovin Ranch, in Lolo, I wanted to integrate natural history into our guest ranch offerings. So in 2010, it was natural for me to respond positively to two University of Montana scientists who asked us to put a web camera above the osprey's nest on our ranch. We thought of it as a scientific tool. However, it soon became apparent to us that it was way more than that. Within a couple years, we had 800,000 unique internet viewers spending over 60 million minutes watching our web camera. Then in 2011, I went to turn the web camera off at the end of the osprey season. And I got scores of emails and phone calls from all over the world, people saying, no, 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 don't do that. We want to watch your ranch. And my reaction was, well, get a life. What do you mean you want you want to watch my ranch? I did not get it. However, in 2012, I became gravely ill. I was confined to my house for 7 months. And during that confinement, I found myself spending more and more time operating my web camera, engaging with other viewers. In short, I became one of my own viewers. And I suddenly got it. It also gave me an opportunity to let my research side kick in, and I formed a focus group of people from Europe and across North America. I had 38 people engage with me via Twitter and Facebook and other means, SurveyMonkey, for example. And what I learned from the focus group was nothing new. In fact, it was a validation of ancient truths. People are people watchers. People are social. They like to converse with each other, and people are storytellers. And what they wanted from my web camera was really simple. Real stories about real people and real animals told in real time. And they wanted a real conversation among each other and with the people behind the cameras, and they wanted a safe place to do that. If you open up a chat room to the public and you have 800,000 people in it, you're going to get trolls and predators. And furthermore, they were willing to pay for it. Thus was born the concept for days@dunrovin.com, DAD in short. In technical jargon, DAD is a content-driven, subscription-based social media platform. We provide the content, and the content is centered on things that organically occur at Dunrovin Ranch. Birds, wildlife, horses, donkey, dogs, weddings, concerts, anything and everything that is typical to Western Montana occurs at my ranch. We provide a safe cybernet community because our subscription acts as a gate. I want to see a credit card. I want to know you're a real person before you get to talk to us. And thirdly, we have a rich social platform in the form of chatting and in the form of threaded comments. At the heart of our operation are our web cameras. And I want to say these are really high quality, high definition, pan, tilt, zoom web cameras equipped with an audio system, a professional audio system. I'll pass these around. Of course, the first one is our osprey nest, which is a camera 47 feet in the air. And as you can see from this panel of photos, you get incredible detailed, intimate looks into the life of an osprey at the nest. You can look right into an osprey's eye, and in fact, that's how I distinguish one osprey from the other. I count the iris. I look at the iris and look at the flecks in their eye. In the wintertime, when the osprey go, we set up bird feeders, which brings in a whole other group of birds. And look at the quality of these photos. Of course, the little birds come for the seeds, and the big birds come for the little birds. So we have, when everything goes silent at our ambient mic, you know that there's a hawk around. And indeed, they show up every morning. Then we have a second camera, which we call our ranch camera, which is on a 37-foot high pole with a Wi-Fi antenna on top. And with it, we use it to scan and to feature all kinds of different activities that just routinely occur at our ranch, such things as pony lessons for little kids, feeding our herd of horses, going on a guided trail ride, or doing some dog training. We bring out dogs from the Western Montana Humane Society every week to provide training. People get to know them. We also show extraordinary things on our web camera. Such things as our Halloween party every year. We had 150 people this last weekend come in costumes. So we have our Halloween party. And then a natural occurrence, we had a forest fire across the river. I spent the whole night talking with people from Europe. And the next morning we panned the camera so people could see the Forest Service people put the fire out. We also do just pan tours of the local environments, sunsets, sunrises. People love watching the seasons change through our camera's eye. Finally, we have a third camera, which is a mobile camera, which can be stationed anywhere. It's ground level. We have it in my family room where we have concerts. We have a book club. We have book talks and various other activities. We put a bird feeder down by the river. In 2014, I did a survey of my users. The typical dad member is a well-educated older woman who watches Days at Dunrovin every day, oftentimes preferring it to television, and has a great interest in coming to Montana. Thank you. I would love questions.
That is great. Before we start the questions, I just want to point something out. We've had I don't know 40 presenters over the course since we started, quite a few. And we've had a lot of really good presentations. You did some things so well that I want to make sure everybody, especially business owners, notice this. You started off by telling us a story that brought everyone's attention straight in to your head. And so you told a story, then you told us the backstory and how you became an accidental entrepreneur, and then you told us the why, and then the how. And it was really seamless. And not only that, you ended exactly at 5 minutes, 59 seconds, which was perfect. So I want to commend you. Excellent job on your presentation. This is, for anybody that wants to do a presentation, watch this video. That was really great.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Now we'll open it to questions.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah.
And practicing for this really did help me hone in and clarify what I really wanted to say. Great. And my story is a big part of it. I mean, I really am an accidental entrepreneur. This was not something I sought, but I got these incredible emails from people who watch my web camera, and they were heart-rending. I mean, people would say, "I'm taking visions of your ranch as I go into surgery tomorrow." Wow. I mean, they were so compelling that I thought I have to do something about this, and I did.
Yeah. Good. Question time.
Questions.
Who's ready? Okay.
Yes.
You said you have a mobile camera?
I do.
Do you have any plans to have drones flying around and just kind of constantly giving the aerial views of the property?
I have aerial views of the property with my stationary cameras, and I have a real issue with drones and wildlife, particularly birds. And so, no, I will not be using drones.
Okay.
What I do hope to do is install a third permanent camera on the river. We have a herd of wild horses across the river, which most people don't even know we have in western Montana. And we also have a large herd of elk, and of course the river itself is a living, breathing organism. So my goal is to get a camera down on the river.
Are your cameras streaming continuously 24/7?
24/7.
Okay.
And this has been a real issue in terms of bandwidth. I mean, believe me, I've crossed I don't know how many bridges, technical bridges. It's been a huge challenge for me, huge. I have encoders and routers and things I didn't even know about 4 or 5 years ago. I've become acquainted with, at least. Yes.
Do you have a continuous stream of new people finding your website and joining it, or do you think that you've kind of found your base that is sticking with you?
I've done absolutely no marketing. I've been in beta, what I call beta mode, for 2 years. This is such a new concept. Somebody once told me when I gave a presentation to some tourism interests, they said, "You're at the bleeding edge of tourism," and indeed I feel the pain. I have an interactive television studio. You have to think of it that way. And how do you do that and really engage an internet audience? And I've spent 2 years figuring this out. I mean, the technology's been a challenge, but also it's been a real challenge is how do you engage people in something like horse training? A lot of people are really interested in it, but how do you actively engage them? Well, I have figured that out. We now, yesterday, just for example, we bought a new horse from a horse breeder and a cattleman in central Montana. He came last week, brought the horse. I connected him with a young woman who shows all the promise of being a really good horse trainer. He's teletraining her. She gets in the round pen with the horse. They get on the telephone. We plug the telephone into our computer. People watch her while he coaches her from afar. And they hear the conversation. And these are the kinds of things that we are doing. They're really unique. We have a book club, for example. We all read the same book, and during the month that we're reading that book, we have several chats at appointed times where we have an online hostess. She lives in Princeton, New Jersey, and she seeds the chatting session with certain questions because she's already read the book ahead of time. And then at the end of the month, the author and Judy Blunt from the University of Montana, who was the head of the creative writing program, and I get in my living room with the web camera and the woman from New Jersey on the phone, and everybody can hear everybody. We interview the author, we talk to them, we take questions from our chatters via Diane on the phone. So it was figuring out how do you really get people, this two-way conversation going with internet users. And I'm just really jacked about this because I think that this has enormous potential and has enormous potential for Western Montana. In my survey, I asked people whether they were interested in coming to Western Montana, and 57% said they were making plans. And I've had people show up in my driveway. I've had people, I mean, it is a draw. And I see Days at Dunrovin as being a potential hub, portal for Western Montana, if you will. And I really want to partner with other businesses that can both boost my membership and also boost their own businesses. For example, I now have a partnership with Distinctly Montana. I've developed into something of a writer. I didn't know I had this talent. Most of my writing has been in scientific journals, but I find I love to write. So in every one of their magazines now carries an article written by me. And so what I do is I direct my audience to that article in their magazine. They pick up blogs from my website and repost them on their website. So I'm driving traffic to them, they're driving traffic to me. And I see incredible opportunities to do that with all kinds of businesses. For example, I see Mr. Quilty Box here, Patrick. And there's just no reason we couldn't have a quilting club on our Days at Dunrovin, where we bring in via Google Hangouts your curators for your box, put them right on the website, have a time when they're on chat, and all your people can chat with them. I mean, this is the kind of technology that we can bring to Western Montana. It's not just about me, it's about the whole community. And I really think, that's one of the ways in which you can help me is by connecting me with other businesses that have an opportunity to provide content, any kind of content. I mean, I'm doing book clubs and music performances and art performances. I'm doing an art project. I'm going to have a resident artist live at Dunrovin this winter, and he's going to build an art something in front of the in front of the web cameras, and none of us are going to know what it looks like until it happens. People love that. I had a University of Montana student come out and say, I'd like to build a Soheim yoga hill in your garden. And I said, whoa, what's that? But I'm an eccentric. Everybody knows I'm eccentric. I said, sure, go ahead. I had 3 conditions. You have to weed it. I don't want weeds all over the place. And if you don't use it, you got to fill it back in. So I had these two guys with coffee cans come out and before the web cameras, dig this big mound, and if you got down in the mound and looked up, all you saw was green and sky. It was great. So I got down in it and took pictures and showed everybody who'd been watching it being built. And the guy would never tell me when he was going to come. His name was Boo. So I had a contest with the viewers, Boo sightings. Who could sight Boo? And this guy was a yoga expert, and I said, okay, in exchange, I want to do yoga in my orchard at 7 in the morning, and I said, most of my viewers are older, so we'll do chair yoga. So I had people over the nation doing chair yoga with me at 7 in the morning while I was in my orchard, right? And of course the sprinklers go on. I mean, this is the organic, fun part of all of this. Who thinks about, yoga on with chairs in the orchard next to a bunch of horses? It's pretty unique.
So where do so many of you've got some great ideas, the things you just mentioned. You did the live horse training, interactive,
Yep.
which is brilliant.
Oh,
And-
this could go anywhere.
yeah. With
I
that,
mean, and this is why I really want to connect with this community and take it in all kinds of different places. And I can't do it all. This is my biggest problem, is I am spread so thinly. And if I hadn't met Amanda in the back of the room here, I would be dead. I mean, seriously.
we're going to post that on the
I-
website. Yeah. That's a testimonial.
No, it's, I mean, I'd be happy to sing her song, okay? Because I've had a heck of a lot to learn at my old age. I mean, the technology is daunting.
Yeah.
And then to figure out all the content and how you really do engage people, that was daunting. And I tried a lot of things that didn't work. They just didn't work. I used walkie-talkies because I put people on horses and send them out for a mile.
Yeah.
And the telephones work. Miles. They can go. People can hear them for miles.
Okay.
It's great.
So in my question is, with these ideas, are they things that just pop, you wake up and you go, oh, we do this? Or do they come from
I
your
would have been
community?
an ADD kid in grade school if they'd have known about it then.
Right.
They didn't know about it, thank God.
So does your community suggest some of these things? Or do you,
Oh, they even create them themselves.
Okay.
They decided to have a bird chat on Wednesday nights, and they assign each other different species to talk about.
Really?
Absolutely.
That's great.
I mean, one of our chatters right now is in the hospital in New York City. People are raising money, sending flowers. We had a woman like that in BC who became hospitalized in Vancouver, BC. And somebody called every hospital and found out where she was, raised money, sent her flowers.
Wow.
I had a deacon from the Canadian Anglican Church. He had got his whole village of 600 people involved. He said, we don't have any windows to the outside world. This is great.
Yeah.
Is there a nonprofit component?
Oh yeah, I got a nonprofit too called called Friends of Dunrovin. And my big hope is to be able to devise a number of contests and games and things like that where we can raise money from the wider world, the cyber world, to bring it into our community. And I'm particularly focused on experience-based education for at-risk people. You know, using horses, using nature, all of that sort of thing. That's kind of my goal. But I've had to let that sort of sit quietly. This has been an overpowering experience for me. I mean, it's just been overwhelming. And this is why I say Amanda has really saved my bacon, because my website did not support the quality of my content. I mean, I was struggling to create the website. And you can imagine how difficult technically this website is. I was crashed by China. My server was completely blown up because I had so many people on it. I mean, I've experienced it all. And I've done no marketing. I've had no real publicity. And that's where I think all of you could help me. Speaking engagements, publicity, and partners. I really think there's an opportunity. You know, give me some ideas that I would never have thought of the quilting club had I not come and heard Patrick speak. But it's made to order. We're talking to the same people.
More questions?
Hello. Do you have a relationship with MPG Ranch down in the Bitterroot?
I have a minimal relationship with them. I'd like to have a better one. I've gone to them. We take horseback rides there all the time, and they do some incredible science. But they seem to be more interested in scientific journals, and that's their primary outlet for the information that they're doing. But as I become more financially stable, I'm going to go back and start publishing their information. For example, I've already collaborated with them on a story about the wild horses. I've gotten all of their information. I've gotten photos, and I have yet to put it up on my site, but I definitely will. But they're a huge resource, absolutely. How are you, Molly? Good.
My husband actually runs all the websites and the solar-powered remote wildlife cameras for the MPG Ranch. So if you would like me to make a connection for you, let me know.
I would like that very much. They've got great stuff down there. Absolutely.
One of the things that you appear to have done brilliantly is build community in the cyberspace, which is really wonderful. I was curious before about how, when we were talking just one after a meeting, that how do you take a ranch and make it cyber? I mean, I grew up on a farm and ranch, and it just seemed like the biggest disconnect ever, and you've done a great job of bringing that together. How, with what you have going on right now, I mean, how much larger of a community could you support?
In terms of the cyber community?
Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands.
Okay.
And that's where I think there's huge potential here. I also think that this is a franchisable template. I mean, you look on the web. There's nobody doing anything like I'm doing. The closest that comes is something like Create Live, which offers classes on site with some interaction with users, but they don't create a community. And then there's a lot of web cameras on wildlife across the world. All of them are sponsored by entities with really deep pockets, and they don't have a community associated with them. And I think the big thing that we really have is that ranch life is really just like life at an osprey's nest. It's unpredictable. I walk out my door, and I have a sick animal, and I have to deal with it now. I walk out my door. I mean, I remember last winter, for example, my ranch manager's out there trying to get our oldest horse who fell on the ice up. I'm on the camera, and I'm watching her, and I say to my viewers, well, I better go out and help. And this has happened to me many times. So I take a big sheet of AstroTurf out there, lay it down on the ice, roll the horse over, roll the horse back on the AstroTurf, and up it comes. Well, I'm hero of the day. But this is a natural thing for me to do. But it's interesting because, I mean, who does that? You know what I'm saying? And I mean, this happens all the time at my ranch. I mean, daily. I have no idea who's going to walk through the door or what's going to happen with the weather or what's going to be served up. And so it's that dynamic, unpredictable, unscripted stories. Molly.
I think what I love so much about this is the fact that whether you grew up in Montana, you moved to Montana, or you have dreams about just ranching in the frontier, it doesn't have to be about Montana. It could just be about that all. You can access that. There's a guy in Phillipsburg named Jim Jenner. Do you know him?
I don't.
He's a filmmaker and a writer, and he did a recent movie on nature deficit disorder. Mm-hmm. And there's a whole generation, and it affects young men more than young women, and even kids that grew up in Phillipsburg, instead with access to nature right out their back door, literally, grew up inside gaming instead, or doing other things like that, and they have completely lost their ability to really communicate and make personal relationships. And all this interaction with nature, and I think whether it's virtually, which could be a really good stepping stone for someone that's tied into computers, or it's personally in nature, and Hobie even talked about this then a couple weeks ago, it can really save people's lives, quite frankly. Again, if you would like to meet Jim, I think that there's a lot of canations that you guys could make too, but it's a big problem.
Talk about children. I want to tell you about a project I did do. My initial drive was to take this to schools, because one day in about 2012, I popped up an email from a teacher in California, and she says, I want you to know all 700 of our children are watching your nest right now. And I said, oh, that's cool. And this was on a Friday, and I said, well, have them watch Monday at 9 o'clock. And I said, by the way, where's your school? What's the name of your school, etc. Right? So, and I said, and get on Twitter, and I'll take questions from your students. And so I made a big sandwich board and put it on my ranch manager and made her ride by underneath the nest on a horse. And it said, hello to all the kids from Garfield School in Santa Ana, California, all right? And so for the next couple hours, I responded to questions from kids at this school. And I contacted the principal, and I said, this has got to be some middle-class, school. And she said, not on your life. This is in a barrio. These kids have never seen a bird's nest. And she said they were just enthralled with what was going on. So, well, that prompted me to create, for 2 years running, I conducted a project called Awesome Osprey. And I recruited teachers across the United States, all the way from Virginia to Hawaii. And this is my scientist background. I created an experiment that they could all collect data on. I had 1,700 children from across North America watching the camera at different times of the day and recording what they saw. I had to teach them to distinguish the male bird from the female bird. It was a 3-week project. Teachers loved it. Students loved it. One teacher emails me, she said, "Damn you anyway." She said, "My kids got so excited about osprey, they made me raise the money to hire a bus to go to the coast to see an osprey's nest." This is a made-to-order thing for schools. But that's when I went down that rabbit hole, I found out that was not the low-hanging fruit. Education systems are difficult. I'd love to partner with somebody. Homeschool, that kind of thing. Find me a partner. I've got material.
Sir, we have time for one more question.
What's your subscription model?
My subscription model is about to change. Amanda has taken hold of me. She's a real businesswoman. I'm a sort of the accidental entrepreneur. I started out with the crazy concept that let people pay what they can pay. You know, I mean, I thought, well, this is good. I've done, polycotomous economic models in the past, and I thought, all right, I'll do that. $4, $6, $10 a month. You tell me what you can pay, and I'll let you pay that. Well, that didn't work too very well, and my marketing is awful. I mean, it's terrible. I have not put my energy there. I've put my energy into developing the product and developing the technology, and I really need assistance from somebody like Amanda. So I think it's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $6 a month, $60 a year, which is very competitive. There's a new website that's coming out of New York City called horselifestyle.tv. They got nothing on us. We live the horse lifestyle. We're not talking about it. And they're going to charge $13 a month.
Yeah.
So I think we're right in there.
You've answered this in part as we've gone through the Q&A time, but we'll ask specifically, what can 1 million cups in our community do for you and help connect the dots?
I want more partnerships like this. I'd love some publicity. I'd love to get out there on television and speaking. I love to talk, clearly. And I'm just really excited about the potential. I see this as something that can really benefit our community in so many ways. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it.